Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest news in the game industry. And this past weekend was very busy, especially with Platinum Games, the studio behind Astral Chain, Bayonetta, and Nier Automata. But yes, news was just flooding in about them. I mean, there is a new mysterious teaser website by them, Wonderful 101 is set to return, and it is also coming to other platforms besides just Nintendo, and also a little acquisition talk concerning Platinum Games as well. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give you the lowdown on all of that, plus we have plenty more to talk about, including Behemoth's newly announced game, some Nintendo Switch Pro news, the PlayStation 5 reveal, and more, so stay tuned for all of that. You're not going to want to miss it. But let's first go over all of this Platinum Games stuff, as there is a lot here to discuss. So one thing about Platinum Games over the years is they have become a bit of a studio for hire. I mean, publishers are always grabbing them to develop new games. You had Square Enix work with them on both Nier Automata, which is actually one of my favorite games from this generation, and they're also working together on Babylon's Fall. And then you had Xbox with Scalebound that unfortunately just never panned out, but we do have some news on that as well, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And then of course Nintendo has worked with Platinum on multiple games. You have Bayonetta, Astral Chain, and lastly you have Wonderful 101, which has turned out to be a bit of a cult classic, and the thing is, that isn't really all that uncommon for games from Platinum. They have a tendency of making great games, but they're not always big time sellers, and unfortunately Wonderful 101 falls into this category. Wonderful 101 released for the Wii U way back in 2013, and though many people loved this game for all of its craziness and creativity, which there was a lot of, and really, it is one of the more odd games you will play, but it was really good, and it just never really sold all that well. Of course, it wasn't like the Wii U was selling great in the first place either, so when you combine the two, a niche game exclusive to a console that was really struggling at the time, it just never had much of a chance for success. Well, the thing is, Platinum Games doesn't seem like they're ready to give up on Wonderful 101 just yet, because they have now officially launched a Kickstarter campaign to help fund a port of Wonderful 101 for the Nintendo Switch that will release sometime in April, which that is quite a fast turnaround, and there's actually a lot of weird things about this Kickstarter, but that's besides the point. And it doesn't stop there, as it may also release on both the PlayStation 4 and PC through Steam, depending on how much funding it gets through Kickstarter. That is a little surprising, as Nintendo did own the IP, but it looks like they actually cut a deal with Nintendo to allow this game to go multi-platform, but if it reaches 50,000 in funds, it will officially come to the Nintendo Switch, which it actually cleared in like 15 minutes. It will also go to the PC if it reaches 250,000, which it has already passed that as well, and the PlayStation 4 if it manages 500,000, and again, it has passed that. I think it was like 2.5 hours, it reached 500,000. Xbox, however, is oddly missing in the Kickstarter, even though Insider Emily did report that it would be included, but it does appear she was wrong here, which, I mean, that's a real shame. I personally think that they should try to put Wonderful 101 on as many systems as they can to increase their potential customers, but hey, that's just my opinion. Maybe they'll port it sometime after releasing it on other platforms, I really don't know. Either way, if you want to help support Wonderful 101 reach some of its stretch goals, go check out the Kickstarter page, which I will leave a link to in the description below. And that is something about these multi-platform releases, as we do know that Platinum Games just got an investment by Tencent here recently, which is supposedly going to allow Platinum Games to publish their own games, which means that these multi-platform releases will likely be more common going forward, which brings me to the next bit of news. See, as we all know, Xbox has been looking for a Japanese studio to acquire recently. Well, now insider Brad Sams has revealed that Xbox was talking with Platinum Games in 2019 in the hopes of an acquisition, but it appears now that Platinum Games went in a different direction. That direction seems to be with Tencent, which has helped them become stable and do what they want to. For Xbox fans, this is probably not the best news in the world, but like I said earlier, I think in Platinum Games' situation, this does make a lot of sense. If they are financially stable now and can release their games on multiple platforms going forward, that is a big win for the entire industry, as they do make fantastic games. Now, hopefully they will release games on Xbox going forward, even though it looks like Wonderful 101 isn't, hopefully that isn't the case with future games. I am interested to see what other Japanese studios Xbox has pursued though, because it does seem like they're very serious about this. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we hear about a Japanese acquisition at this coming E3 by Xbox. The question for me is, who could they possibly acquire? Now that Platinum Games is off the table, I wonder who else they could go after. Mistwalker has always been an obvious choice considering their history with Xbox. I mean, they did release both Blue Dragon as well as Lost Odyssey on the Xbox 360 exclusively, though I'm not even sure if they want to make console games anymore. If you have any guesses as to who Xbox could go after in Japan, let me know in the comments below. Now, one other thing that did happen with Platinum Games is they posted a mysterious teaser website that shows the number 4. This was posted a few days ago, which led to a lot of speculation as to exactly what this number 4 could mean. Could it be a 4th installment to a game like Drakengard 4, or could it be something entirely different? Well, now that Platinum Games has officially launched the Wonderful 101 Kickstarter, this website has also been revealed to mean that they are announcing 4 different projects, which is crazy when you think about it. I mean, we know that they got that investment by Tencent, and we know that they took that investment to self-publish their own games, but if I'm understanding this correctly, this will be 4 additional titles that hasn't already been announced. You have to remember that Platinum is already working on Bayonetta 3, and they're also working on Babylon's Fall. Now, Wonderful 101 looks to release April, so that's not really that big of a deal, but it appears they have 3 more games they could work on. As to what they could be, I have no idea. Maybe they could release an Astral Chain sequel. We do know that they want to do an Astral Chain trilogy. Now, granted, Nintendo actually owns 50% of Astral Chain, so they would have to get Nintendo on board as well. I don't think that they can just self-publish that. I would also love to see another Nier game personally, or possibly even a revival of Scalebound. Now, I know Scalebound was cancelled years ago, but it is being reported now that Platinum Games would love to do Scalebound if the opportunity were to ever come. But Scalebound is 100% owned by Microsoft, so at the end of the day, it's up to Xbox. Now, they could sell it to Platinum Games if they don't want it, or maybe they could partner up with Platinum Games again, though I do see this as a doubtful outcome. Honestly, Scalebound will likely never return, but it's cool to think about. But still, we do have more Platinum Games to look forward to. Hopefully they get announced sooner rather than later, but they weren't joking when they said they had some big news for 2020. In fact, it looks like they have a lot of news for 2020. Moving on, we have multiple different Nintendo-related topics. So one has been kind of developing for quite a while now, as Nintendo Switch Pro rumors have been circulating the internet for a long time. At one point, it really seemed like it was just a matter of Nintendo confirming it, but it looks like we have all been bamboozled because Nintendo did the exact opposite. During the fiscal year report, Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, but he had this to say. Regarding Nintendo Switch, we believe that it is important to continue to communicate the appeal of both Nintendo Switch systems and expand the installed base. Please note that we have no plans to launch a new Nintendo Switch model during 2020. So there it is, Nintendo has no plans for a new Nintendo Switch model in 2020, which means for the second year in a row we will not see the highly rumored Nintendo Switch Pro. That is a bit unfortunate because I think it would sell a lot for Nintendo, but they could hold off for another year and release it when both the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 is out. And speaking of that, Nintendo had a few things to say about the next generation. So not only will there be no Nintendo Switch Pro in 2020, but Nintendo is planning for the Nintendo Switch to have a longer life cycle than usual, and they don't think the Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5 will have a big impact on Nintendo's business. I can understand that as well because really Nintendo has a completely different strategy than both PlayStation and Xbox. Nintendo kind of always does their own thing, and they have never really focused on power. While power for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X is important to get the highest visual fidelity, the Nintendo Switch, its main selling point is its portability. I mean, yes, it is your typical home console that you can play on your TV, but it's also a portable console, and a lot of people really love that aspect of it. Does that mean Nintendo Switch won't get every big AAA game to release on the Switch? Well, probably. But there is still plenty of games that will release on the Nintendo Switch. Really, even here recently, we have seen several AAA ports come over to the Nintendo Switch, such as The Witcher. You have Alien Isolation and even Dark Souls, and while something like The Witcher looks much better on other platforms, people are still willing to go out and buy it on the Switch because they want to be able to play it on a handheld console. So I can see where Nintendo is going at with their statement here, though I am curious about you. Do you agree with Nintendo here, or do you view Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 as direct competition for the Switch? Now, before we move on to our next topic, Nintendo has also announced one last thing, which was a special edition Animal Crossing Nintendo Switch console. This will release for $300 and it will release March 13th, a week ahead of Animal Crossing New Horizons. The console looks pretty slick too, so for you hardcore Animal Crossing fans, you can go out and buy this if you're interested. In other news, Sony has continued to trademark the PlayStation 5 in several countries. We talked about this a little bit last week as Sony trademarked the PlayStation 5 in Europe, which has led to speculation that the PlayStation 5 event announcement was going to be imminent, as this is what happened before the PlayStation 4 event last generation, but nothing ever seemed to have happened with this. However, Sony has continued to trademark the PlayStation 5 in several countries, including the United States, New Zealand, Australia, and Switzerland, but even then we still have not heard anything about the PlayStation 5. By this point, it is a true mystery as to when this event will be. I still have my eyes set on February 16th, which is when that New York City event is ending, but that's just me speculating. Who knows, they may miss February entirely. There's actually a rumor of this now. I don't know if it's true. I'm still hoping for February, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Not sure how I feel about Sony's complete silence by this point, but what are you gonna do? Anyways though, for the last bit of news, we have two different game-related announcements. The Behemoth, the developers behind Castle Crashers and BattleBlock Theater, announced their newest game, which will be a reimagination of Alien Hominid called Alien Hominid Invasion, which seems to have confused much of the community. See, this is not a remaster of Alien Hominid. This is actually a completely new game with new gameplay, mechanics, progression, and more. So if you are a fan of the Behemoth or even a fan of the original Alien Hominid, you may want to keep an eye out for this one, and as always, I'll try to keep you updated on it if we get more news going forward. We also got another update on Phantasy Star Online 2 as well, and honestly this game just continues to sound better and better. A couple weeks ago they revealed that Phantasy Star Online 2 will have both English voice acting as well as Japanese, but now it has also been revealed to have 4K support on Xbox One X. Really, it seems like Sega and Xbox is putting a lot of work into this game, which definitely surprises me. I like what I'm hearing, and I'll be excited to test this out myself during the beta that starts February 7th. Don't forget to sign up for that if you haven't already, and actually the preload is also available as of today. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Peace out.